What's up, YouTube? Pink Reaper here. So first and foremost, let me apologize that I haven't uploaded in a couple of days. I've been pretty sick, and in fact, I'm still kind of sick. I don't really feel too well right now, but I decided I'd do this video anyways, just because I haven't uploaded in a bit, and I do want to get this series done as quickly as possible, so the information remains relevant. To be completely honest. And like I said, I feel bad for having kind of just stopped it kind of abruptly. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Mega Pokemon, the new Mega Evolutions added into Generation 6, their impact on the metagame, what I think their tiering will be. First, let me say this. I just want to clarify a point right now. A Mega Pokemon will be tiered differently than its not Mega form. The Mega items themselves will more than likely be what's tiered. So, Charizard will probably remain way down in NU or something. But you know, Mega Charizard, its two forms, Charizard X, Charizard X and Y will be tiered in their own separate tiers, allowing you to use them only in those tiers. I'm also not going to talk about the Uber Mega Pokemon right now, Mega Gengar or Mega Blaziken. I don't really know the Uber's metagame that well, so I don't want to speculate on what their impact on those metagames will be. Just like always, I'm just going to have some random battles playing in the background. I literally just kind of jumped on to Pokemon Showdown and played like 4 games real quick so that I could get replays, so they're probably not the best. I didn't really choose any that went well. I just kind of chose stuff that would be in the background, so don't nitpick too much into these. They were just literally on the fly kind of things. So let's start with the big one. That's Mega Kangaskhan. For those who don't know, Mega Kangaskhan is currently in I don't know if you can't really call it suspect testing, but it's in suspect discussion for Ubers, and I definitely feel Mega Kangaskhan needs to be banned into Ubers. Mega Kangaskhan is ridiculous. It's so unreasonably difficult to counter that Pokemon. There's very few Pokemon that do it well. For those who don't know, Mega Kangaskhan, its ability is Parental Bond. What that means in game is when it Mega Evolves, the little baby that's in its pouch comes out, and then every time you attack, Kangaskhan attacks, and then the baby attacks, and the baby attacks for 50% of the power that normal Kangaskhan has. What this basically means is that Mega Kangaskhan has a choice band that allows it to use, you know, whatever moves it wants, but it goes kind of further than that, because attacking twice means a lot of things that in theory would be able to counter this Pokemon just don't. You can't, you know, it relies on Sucker Punch to defeat faster Pokemon than it, but you can't, like, say, substitute on it and get away with it, because if you would try and attack, your substitute's going to break and then you're going to get hit anyway. It uses Power Up Punch, which is 40 base power, fighting type move that guarantees it's 100% accurate, and every time it hits, it guarantees you go +1. So you go essentially +2, obviously, because it hits twice. And it essentially also has something like 72 base power or something like that. Weird, because the first hit has 40 base power, and you go +2. And then the next, or no, I'm sorry, it has 70 base power straight. The next hit is now at +1. So the baby's hit should in theory be 20 base power, but it's at, you know, 30 instead, because it's already at +1, and then it puts you at +2. +2 Kangaskhan can pretty much 1-2 hit KO everything in the entire game. +2 Mega Kangaskhan. The bulkiest defensive Hippowdon gets almost 1 hit KO'd by return. And it's got such a diverse move pool that things that you could in theory use to counter it just don't. Like, for instance, I had been using Will-O-Wisp Trevenant to get around Sucker Punch on Mega Kangaskhan, because in general they were running Power Up Punch, Return, Sucker Punch, and then like filler, usually something stupid like Fake Out But now players are running stuff like Crunch, Fire Punch, things like that, so that they don't have to rely on Sucker Punch to defeat certain Pokemon. And then at that point, what do? You don't really have an option against it. If you're faster than it, you're just going to get Sucker Punched, and if you're not, you're going to get hit. That's just what happens. For this reason, I feel like Mega Kangaskhan is most definitely going to be thrown into Ubers. It's just far too difficult to handle. Now, it isn't uncounterable, mind you. There is one single Pokemon that absolutely 100% without question counters Mega Kangaskhan, and that is Mega, or not Mega, not even Mega, just Terrakion. Mega Kangaskhan cannot deal with Terrakion in any way, shape, or form. Even a +2 Sucker Punch won't one-hit KO it and will instead put it at +2. And then obviously Stab Close Combat off 128 attack is going to one-hit KO it. But that is the only Pokemon that is guaranteed to defeat it, because it's the only Pokemon that will always outspeed it and always one-hit KO it and can take a +2 Sucker Punch. Very few other Pokemon can. There's pretty much nothing, to be completely honest. So I definitely feel Mega Kangaskhan will get banned into Ubers. Next up, I want to just talk about the Pokemon that I feel are definitely 100% going to be OU. Oh, I screwed that up. I put the wrong Pokemon there. Well, that's fine. Sorry. The Mega Pokemon that will definitely be OU. It's not even a question. And all of them are going to seem really obvious, except maybe one. And right off the bat, I'm going to talk about what I think is actually the next best Mega Pokemon after Mega Kangaskhan, and that is Mega Scizor. That might sound kind of weird, especially with stuff like Mega Lucario in there, but or Mega Tyranitar. But the thing is, Mega Scizor only does one thing better than normal Scizor, and that's its Swords Dance set. Because it's much bulkier and it has a little bit more power, in case you're not running Life Orb on your Swords Dancer. Mega Scizor can survive a ton of things that normal Scizor cannot, and a simple set of, Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, Roost, Filler is actually extraordinarily dangerous. If you get to +2 or even +4, and in fact, if you do get to +4, that's probably the most dangerous thing right there. Which it can very, very easily do, because not a lot of things can straight up KO it. Bullet Punch or Knockoff will basically KO the entire metagame. Now, the big thing it doesn't have, obviously, is speed. It is a little bit faster than normal Scizor, but not by much. And you can't really invest in it without losing bulk. So there are still some, legitimate counters to it. Heatran will definitely counter it. It's faster. Will-O-Wisp, Rotom will definitely counter it. Faster things with Stab Fire or even just, Flamethrower, not even Stab, will more than likely KO it. But the list is pretty small. And even if it's like an unstabbed HP Fire, it probably won't one-hit KO it unless it's boosted or coming off a really high special attack like Latios, which unfortunately doesn't really run HP Fire anymore. Knockoff with its boost in power and its extra ability is actually really, really strong for that Pokemon. Thief is another option for that second attack if you want to Dark type attack that never drops in power. It's a little weaker overall on the first hit than Knockoff, but it's not super weak, and it doesn't knock off the item. That's kind of the thing. Bug Bite, there's things like that, but it's that insanely powerful Bullet Punch that really does it, because Mega Scizor jumps up, I think, to 150 base attack when it Mega Evolves. And at +2, you can 2-hit KO a lot of physical walls with that. Gliscor is, I think, 2-hit KO'd by Bullet Punch when you're at +2. Stuff like Mega Venusaur and things like that. are 2-hit KO'd, and the things that aren't are like Skarmory, you can definitely defeat with knockoff. Mega Scizor is definitely one of the more dangerous Pokemon, and it's also one of the big three that I'll be explaining here in a minute. And I actually want to move into the next of those two big three, Mega Tyranitar. Mega Tyranitar, just like Mega Scizor, only really does one thing better than normal Tyranitar, and that's Dragon Dancing. It hits a slightly higher speed tier because it now has base 71 speed, which puts it at just enough speed to outspeed base 130 Pokemon. Granted, that's not as important anymore because of the removal of Mega Gengar. There's not too many 130s you really need to outspeed. It's like Mega, or not even Mega. It's like Jolteon is the only common one. But I think it also lets. I think Jolly normal Tyranitar doesn't outspeed Greninja 120 base 123s. So there's that. Again, Mega Tyranitar gets a boost in a bunch of its stats. It's got way more attack. It's got a lot more defense. It can survive a Choice Band. It's guaranteed actually to survive a Choice Band Bullet Punch from Scizor, which is actually the strongest non-Mach Punch priority attack you can take. Which means yes, you'll survive Aqua Jet from Choice Band, Azumarill, and such. Obviously, it still can't really take a Technician Mach Punch. It'll definitely still die to that. But especially with Dark's kind of buff, allowing you to crunch with impunity, a set of Dragon Dance, Crunch, Stone Miss, and Fire Punch will allow you to KO a lot of things. Now, it is still weak to Burn, which is kind of a bummer. And I don't think a +1 Crunch will one-hit KO a 100% health Rotom Wash, which is unfortunate because I think +1 Stone Edge does, but then you're just kind of rolling the dice on that miss. And there are still a few things that can definitely KO it. Mostly Choice Scarf Pokemon at that point. But it's doable. That said, Mega Tyranitar is going to be very dangerous in this generation. It has quite a few things it can set up on, not the least of which is Talonflame, which obviously can't do anything to it. And that free turn is dangerous, and it's one of the few Pokemon that can, I believe, one hit at +1, one hit KO, even defense form. What is that Pokemon called? Aegislash. So that's definitely a big thing. And like I said, at +1, it also outspeeds a lot of really important Pokemon. All the base 120s, I believe the base 123s, or I'm guaranteed the base 123s, but I'm not 100% certain if you need Jolly for it or not. The next one is Mega Garchomp, who will also 100%... Oh, sorry, I didn't even realize the video had ended. Or not the video, the replay had ended. Give me 1 second. Right. Back into it then. So Mega Garchomp, a lot of people upon seeing Mega Garchomp, they just entirely wrote it off. They're like, well, it's definitely more bulky than normal Garchomp, but it's slower. And I've had a lot of people tell me Mega Garchomp is bad. They're like, I used the Swords Dance set, but it didn't even matter. Even though I could take a hit better, I didn't outspeed enough things. And things like that. Those people are what I like to refer to as dumb. The thing that no one paid attention to when it came to Mega Garchomp was its new 120 base special attack. You can't always use a Mega Pokemon the same way you use a normal Pokemon. They're just not, there's usually too many differences. Not always. A lot of them are just straight better versions of the normal Pokemon. But Mega Garchomp does not work as a Swords Dance attacker. It does not work as a, Scarf attacker. It can't use Choice Scarf. It is a completely different Pokemon. It has a ton of attack and a ton of special attack and some great attack typings and access to a very usable move pool. The way you should be using Mega Garchomp is as a mixed wall breaker, and it is one of, if not the best current mixed wall breaker in the game. Very few Pokemon can safely switch into it, especially if it's using the right moveset. It is no longer walled by Skarmory because that 120 base special attack Fire Blast is going to 2-hit KO it, or 1-hit KO it if you invest even a tiny bit. You will 1-hit KO Ferrothorn. You have enough attack to 2-hit KO most fairies who want to try and come in on your dragon attacks. It is an insanely powerful wall breaker. And people have this tendency to underestimate it. Now, it's the last of the big three that I mentioned, and those three are Scizor, Tyranitar, and Garchomp. And the reason I call them the big three is because I feel like they're actually the most dangerous Mega Pokemon in the game currently, for one really big reason. Unlike other Mega Pokemon, Scizor, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, normal Scizor, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, can run an absolute ton of different sets, with the exception of, I guess, Mega Scizor. Most people just think of it as Scizor is just a choice attacker, but the thing is, there's no real way to tell when someone is using a Mega Scizor, a Mega Tyranitar, or a Mega Garchomp. These are not like Kangaskhan or Charizard or Blastoise or Mawile, Pokemon that you would never see unless they are Mega Pokemon. I have seen plenty of just straight up choice band Scizors, no Mega item attached. I'm using a non-Mega Scizor. Obviously, though, I have an Ampharos, so that kind of gives away what my Mega Pokemon is, but you get the idea. But when it comes to Scizor, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, I could see all three of those Pokemon together on one team, and all three of them could, or any three of them could be the Mega. None of them could be the Mega. It's entirely possible. And that's what makes them so dangerous. A lot of people sort of look at Mega Garchomp and think, oh, even if it is just a mixed wall breaker, that's all it does, so you can bring in X, Y, or Z Pokemon and it won't be any problem. Yeah, the problem is bringing in X, Y, or Z Pokemon doesn't necessarily work against normal Garchomp, and how do you know it's a Mega Garchomp until it Mega Evolves? The same is sort of true for Mega Tyranitar. Now, there are a lot of things that just sort of straight up counters both Tyranitar and Mega Tyranitar, but it's mostly priority moves. You have to have specific priority moves because it has enough bulk to survive a lot of things. And for instance, the stuff that counters, bulky Assault Vest Tyranitar does not counter, Mega Dragon Dance Tyranitar. It's very dangerous for you to think, this is just Tyranitar or this is just Garchomp. And that's what really makes them the big three in my mind. You can't really know for certain whether it's going to be the Mega Pokemon or not. I don't necessarily think all three of them are the best any three of them are the best Mega Pokemon, with the exception of Scizor. I think Scizor is just really, really good. But just the fact that they have extra sets that they can be using now that, they couldn't before, it makes them even more dangerous. And the things that, like I said, the things that counter any given one of these Pokemon don't counter necessarily their other sets. It makes them more unpredictable. Unpredictability is extremely dangerous in Pokemon. So that's what I think of those three. Moving on, finally. One of the next really obvious ones is Mega Lucario. Mega Lucario, a lot of people sort of overhyped it when it came out. They're like, OMG, it's going to be broken. It has adaptability, close combat. That's insane. Off like 130 or 135, I think it is, special attack. Or something that's like, ZOMG, it's going to break the game. It's going to be broken. How do you beat this kind of Pokemon? And then it came out, and a lot of people realized, well, even with that, it still has to rely on Crunch to get through through Ghost Pokemon, and most Ghost Pokemon can still can take that Crunch and then just burn it right back, and then it can't do anything. And the Swords Dance set sort of, it's hard to get in because normal Lucario is just sort of hard to get in, and then it's hard to find a free turn. Because most people are assuming if you're running Lucario, you're running Mega Lucario. So it sort of went from being super overhyped to just not very hyped. And everyone's like, well, you know, it's good. It's definitely not going to fall to, like, underused or anything like that. But it'll more than likely, you know, it's not going to be broken. Those people, however, didn't take into consideration the fact that physical Mega Lucario is the worst Mega Lucario. Nasty Plot Mega Lucario is insanely dangerous. It's even more powerful than normal Mega Lucario because it has a higher special attack stat. It still has access to priority in the form of Vacuum Wave, and not a lot of things can actually counter it well. Assault Vest users don't really take a +2 Aura Sphere well, and most Assault Vest users are like Pokemon that don't really want to try and take on Lucario in the first place. The other thing is mixed Mega Lucario. It doesn't have the highest speed stat. I think it has 115 speed, which isn't, you know, low, but it's not super, super high. But a mixed Mega Lucario can pretty much one-hit KO every wall. Again, one of the best mixed attackers in the game. It's much, much more difficult to counter a special-based Mega Lucario because you can't just burn it and be done. It just doesn't work. I forgot where I was. Next up, let's just move on to the next one. Now, I actually wrote down the wrong name here. I wrote down Mega Heracross. What I actually wanted to put down was Mega Pinsir. All right, moving out from the shadow of Heracross, Mega Pinsir surprised me, to be completely honest. I was not expecting Mega Pinsir to be as insanely dangerous as it is. The thing is, it gets an ability Aerolite, which, for those who don't know, I keep saying that, but anyway, for those who don't know, Aerolite changes all normal-type moves into flying-type moves, Mega Pinsir becoming a bug flying type when it Mega Evolves. So it gets Stab on them, but it also increases their power by 30%, so it essentially gets a Life Orb boost for all of its Stab moves. And you have stuff like, you know, Aerolite Return having dang near 200 base power, as well as access to Swords Dance, increasing your ridiculous attack stat even more. I think Mega Pinsir has, 135 attack or something like that? I didn't write down its stats, I should have. But then there's also Quick Attack. Quick Attack becoming a Stab type attack now, so it jumps from 40 to 60 base power, but then it also gets the Aerolite bonus of 30%, jumping it up to 78, making it almost as powerful as, you know, Extreme Speed. +2 Aerolite Quick Attack does a ton of damage. It actually almost one-hit KO'd my full HP Mega Scissor the other day. Keep in mind, I run 252 HP on my Mega Scissor as well, so just to give you an idea of how strong that is. Now, obviously, it does have the big Stealth Rock's weakness, but it can sort of circumvent that in the fact that normal Pinsir is not quad weak to Stealth Rock, so it can actually just come in, take 25%, and then Mega Evolve after that. It also can take advantage of the fact that normal Pinsir has Moxie, I believe. Yeah, I think normal Pinsir has Moxie, which means if it can come in on something, it can, you know, definitely one-hit KO. It can KO it, get that +1, and then Mega Evolve, and just be a +1 Mega Pinsir at that point, allowing it to threaten a lot of things it couldn't otherwise. Now, I don't think it's going to be the most overused Mega Pokemon, but I do think a lot of people are sleeping on it, and a lot of people are going to realize it's an insanely powerful Pokemon, and it's extremely good at what it does, which is just, boost and then kill everything in its way. Sort of like Mega Kangaskhan, not a lot of things can take a +2 return from it. And the things that can't really take a +2 close combat, because it obviously still has normal Pinsir's move pool. Generally, the set is Swords Dance, Return, Close Combat, Quick Attack, but again, if it doesn't want to run, say Quick Attack, it also has access to Bug Stab as well, which can get it around even more Pokemon. But Bug Flying is sort of redundant. The things it hits, the things that Bug hit that Flying don't isn't super important. So you won't see that too much. This is a very, very short game. I forgot about that. Thank goodness, because I'm actually going to split this Mega Pokemon video into 2 parts. And I'm going to get into the last Mega Pokemon I'm going to talk about today. And the last one I think is going to be guaranteed OU, and that is Mega Charizard X, the Dragon Fire type Mega Charizard, not the Flying Fire type. Now it has the same problem that normal Charizard does, is when it switches into Stealth Rocks it takes 50% because it has to switch in as a normal Charizard. And it's not the fastest Pokemon with only base 100 speed. But Dragon Fire is an insane attacking type and a somewhat insane defensive type. It's weak to Ground, Dragon, Fairy, and Rock. Some of those obviously are very common attacking types, but it leaves it with quite a few resistances, quite a few important resistances, mind you. And Mega Charizard X also jumps up quite a bit in bulk. It is also the only, I think, one of the only Mega-type Pokemon that has access to Dragon Dance. I think it's just Mega Tyranitar, and Mega Gyarados. Well, not counting the other Mega Charizard. Allowing it to boost its attack and speed, and it also has Tough Claws. For those unaware, Tough Claws increases contact moves power by 30%. So Dragon Claw and Fire Punch both jump up to up 30% power, making them almost, I think they're just under 100 base power. I think they're at like 96 or something like that. So it's basically throwing off two nearly 100 base power stab moves, because keep in mind they still get stab bonus on top of that. Yeah, see, this one's already over. Mega Charizard also has no weakness to priority, which means if it gets 1 or 2 speed boosts, at that point you're kinda out of luck. A +1 Mega Charizard X can already threaten the majority of the metagame. At +2 you've lost, and that's insane. It's sort of the same for most Dragon Dancers though. Especially at any Dragon Dancers that aren't weak to priority. Say hi to Gyarados over there, but it also has access to Roost, which is a big thing. Its double stab Dragon Fire is basically unresisted, and in fact I think it's completely unresisted. What is the one Pokemon? I know something resisted it. I can't remember what it was, though. Oh, right. Azumarill. Azumarill is the only thing that is resistant to that, because it's Fairy Water type, giving it immunity to Dragon and resistance to Fire. Unfortunately for Mega Azumarill, its stabs all hit it neutrally, because Fire resists Fairy and Dragon resists Water. But yeah, Mega Charizard X is a very, very threatening Pokemon, and just a set of Dragon Dance, Roost, Fire Punch, and Dragon Claw is extremely, extremely powerful. But it doesn't even need to use Roost, honestly. At +1, it can utilize other attacks. Earthquake, obviously, allowing it to get at least a neutral hit on some Pokemon. some Pokemon that resist its stabs. Empoleon obviously takes neutral damage from Fire Punch, but it takes super effective damage from Earthquake. It can also run special attacks, which is kind of dangerous. It does have a very usable special attack stat at, I think, like 115. And obviously, Stab Fire is still really, really good. It can choose to use Fire Blast instead of Fire Punch and then get around Skarmory in one hit. Although I think a +1 Fire Punch from Mega Charizard X actually does a ridiculous amount of damage to Skarmory. I think with a little prior damage, you can actually one-hit KO it. But yeah, those are the Pokemon I feel are definitely going to be OU. In the next Pokemon, I'm going to talk about the rest, the ones that are definitely viable for OU, but I don't think are going to be guaranteed a slot. I'm sure there's a couple people like, why aren't you talking about this Pokemon? Why aren't you talking about that Pokemon? I'm definitely going to have a lot of people ask me about Mawile. I'm sure about that. But these are just the ones that are guaranteed. I definitely think others will make it into OU, but these are just the ones that are, absolutely guaranteed. Plus Pinsir, which may not be guaranteed just because people are sort of sleeping on it right now, but in the future. But anyway, that'll be another video. This one's already running on kind of long. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Pink Reaper signing out.